How you doing? We got a double feature today. Not that these two movies have anything to do with each other, but they're both not good, and they don't need their own video because we don't have too much to say about them. But each of these movies do have at least one piece of significance, and the first one we're going to talk about is Bigfoot. Bigfoot, here, I think you probably all know the story of Bigfoot. People have cited a large creature with a large footprint. This is North American myth. The sightings of Bigfoot took place in California, and in 1967, a video was released to the public where you see a shadowy figure and you think that it's Bigfoot, or the person who took the video thought it was Bigfoot. That was in 1967. 3 years later, a movie about Bigfoot is made, and here it is. There's been dozens and dozens of movies featuring Bigfoot or Sasquatch or a Yeti or something like that. And this one is significant because it is the first one ever. So 1970 Bigfoot is the first movie with Bigfoot ever. Now, aside from that, this movie sucks. We have these nice taglines here: the greatest monster since King Kong, the most realistic, horrifying film ever. There's nothing scary about this movie. This movie has a range in acting from mediocre to horrible. And unfortunately, this poster, as was a common theme in 1970, is much more interesting than the actual movie. We do have some people on motorcycles, but not a whole lot. No Bigfoot creature ever lifts a motorcycle up, and there's no, this is like a police or army person here shooting a machine gun at Bigfoot. That doesn't happen. What does happen is Bigfoot takes some women, two women to be precise, takes some women, ties them up. We think that the women are going to be raped by Bigfoot, but it never happens. And the Bigfoot actually looks like a gorilla suit that you could buy at the store. There are multiple big feet in this, which I think is better than having just one. But we have a bunch of people in gorilla costumes running around. There's no real violence. I guess it's a horror movie because, it's a monster. But you don't really have... You just heard the opening theme song there. It's just like a rock song from 1970. It's not scary. It's not intense. It's not suspenseful. It's... overall bad. And the worst part about it is the noise that the Bigfoot creatures make. It's literally somebody kind of going like this, ah, ah, and that's about it. There is a small, half-sized Bigfoot creature that makes a higher-pitched growl. They don't talk or anything, and they don't really do anything. And then so a lot of the scenes with the Bigfoot creatures take place at night, and it looks like they went out there and really shot at night because you can't see anything. It's really dark. You see some figures rolling around. That's it for that movie. There's nothing else to say about it. No, not good. But it's cool that there's been a lot of Bigfoot movies, and this is the first one, so I'll give it that. 3 out of 10 for Bigfoot. All right, now we have this one, which is even worse. The House That Would Not Die. Kind of a cool title, okay? Now, to be fair, this poster is not like the actual promotional poster. There was no promotional poster because this was a TV movie played on ABC. Just like Night Slaves. We mentioned Night Slaves even though it's not a horror movie. We mentioned Night Slaves. That was an ABC TV movie, and so is this one. It came out in October of 1970. And we are getting towards the end of 1970 here. The House That Would Not Die, even though it was filmed in California, Hollywood, or whatever, it's supposed to take place in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which in the description says it's where the Amish live. I used to live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of Amish people there. I don't remember if they got all the way down as far as Gettysburg or not, but other than the description, it has nothing to do with the movie at all. It's not filmed in Pennsylvania. There's not really any outside shots. It takes place in the house. And I don't think they say anything about Amish people in the movie itself or really mention that they're from Pennsylvania. So I'm not sure why they even bothered to put that out there in the description. Anyway, this movie is basically some people move into a house. They do some seances. When they do the seances, it unleashes lots of wind inside the house. And the one neighbor becomes like mildly possessed, where he like kind of walks around as if he has slightly lost control over his body, and he almost does bad things, but he actually doesn't. And that's basically the entire movie. The only reason why I say this one has any significance at all is because as far as me reviewing movies from 1970s go, it is the first mainstream American horror movie that I have talked about. I think in another video I said that we haven't seen any other mainstream movies besides Night Slave, which was also on ABC. But actually I was going back through my notes, and The Vampire Lovers, which we did a long time ago, was actually a mainstream MGM distributed movie. I think I missed that before because it's actually a British movie, and MGM distributed it in the United States. EMI distributed it in the UK. But EMI was just as big as MGM pretty much at the time. So we had Vampire Lovers in the mainstream. We have The House That Wouldn't Die. The House That Would Not Die in the mainstream. We have two others that we didn't talk about yet. One of them is Trog, which doesn't look promising, but we'll get to it soon. And then the other one was House of Dark Shadows, I think, which is a vampire movie, which was actually a bigger theatrical movie for 1970. Other than that, it's all underground. We don't have a lot of people in 1970 looking for big horror movies. I think that came later when The Exorcist broke out, and then everyone wanted to do a horror movie, I guess. Anyway, that's it for these two for one, less than 8 minutes. We'll see you next time.